All right, so this is the first episode of what I'm going to call Record Talk because all we know that the vinyl community needs another aging nerd to talk about his records and CDs. So here I am. Um, so my gimmick for today, you'll find out that probably 90s alternative is probably my sweet spot, but I certainly like a lot more stuff than just that. But I'm going to kind of stay in that sweet spot today. Although the artist I'm going to feature today, um, she's known as 90s alternative queen, but she really has put out so many good records long before that. So we're going to do a top 10 albums of Juliana Hatfield. Um, so, for example, Pete Pardo, Sea of Tranquility, he talks about the classic rock and the metal and jazz fusion and that sort of stuff all the time. And he's never going to talk about Juliana Hatfield. He's never going to rank her albums. Somebody like the Dark Stuff might actually do this video. I don't think he's done a ranking Juliana Hatfield albums. And I should probably take off this, even though I like my white Panama hat. It's Mazzy's gimmick, so maybe I should don't not have that gimmick going on. So I'll set that aside. Um, so, um, so the way I'm going to do it is these will be based on studio albums, either by Juliana Hatfield or Juliana Hatfield 3. I am going to fuse those together for purposes. So we won't count there is one official live album and some bootlegs that are not counted. There's one compilation that won't be counted, a couple of EPs that will not be counted, and the whole God's Foot thing, the unreleased album that Atlantic has been sitting on for 25 years that we've only heard in a bootleg format except for a couple songs. That's not going to be counted either. But still, including the new album Blood, which as of this recording is still a few weeks away. So I've only heard one song off of Blood, so Blood was not considered in this top 10 listing. I'm hoping that Blood will end up on the top 10 listing. One of the things about Juliana, which I think is unusual for an artist that's now in their 50s, is who's been putting out albums for over 30 years now, is that every time she comes out with a new album, there's a chance it might be the best album of her career. And most people her age, like I like Liz Phair. Liz Phair is coming out with a new album this year. I have no belief that she's putting out her best album this year. Just don't think so. Juliana, it's a bit more possible. Could happen. Maybe not, but it is possible. Pearl Jam. If Pearl Jam puts out a new album, is that going to be their best album? No. The Rolling Stones put out a new album. Was that going to be their best album? Of course not. Paul McCartney put out a new album. Was that his best album? Of course not. So let's talk about my top 10 albums. So this is basically going to be essentially my top half of her catalog. Most I have on vinyl. Some have never been released on vinyl or I don't have on vinyl. So here is my number 10 album, Juliana Hatfield Sings the Police. So obviously, this was a complete covers album. These are all songs by the Police. I got it on the blue vinyl here. Hole in My Life, I think, is the star song on this particular album. I frankly think it's better than the original Police's version. Not going to say that about all the songs. Roxanne, in particular, I think I was a little disappointed with her version compared to the original version, that being one of my favorite original Police songs. Um, and in general, I think side two of this album was a lot better than side one. And side two tended to be the ones where instead where she had instead of using drum machines or relying on her own drumming, those are the ones where she brought in. We had Ed Velasquez, who's been bass player for her quite a bit on tour and on some albums, played bass on some of the songs, but especially when they brought in a drummer, because I don't think she should do her own drums or drum machine. She should have a drummer. So that's my number 10. Number 9 is I only have it on CD. You can see I actually have a signed CD So this was one of the Pledge Music crowd funding ones that came out. So I forgot the name. The Police was 2019. This is 2011. There's Only Another Girl um, on her own Ye Old Records. So these are very hard to come by nowadays. The Discogs Flippers wants lots of money for these. I didn't get it on vinyl back in the day because I hadn't gotten back into vinyl yet. And now I remember somebody was trying to get $200 for it on Discogs, a vinyl copy of this. I don't think very many were ever made. And I'm not paying $200 for anybody's album. So, um, so probably what's my favorite song on here? Taxi Cab, There's Only Another Girl, Candy Wrappers, Sex and Drugs. I think Candy Wrappers is probably the one she plays most often. So that's my number 9. Number 8 is going to be another one I have on CD only, 1998, Bed. So this was the first full-length album she made post-Atlantic. This was an album that was put together very quickly. And in fact, I'm thinking that if I redid this list, this could easily go up the list. I Want You, Swan Song, You Are the Camera, Bad Day, some of the really good songs on this particular album. I think she made it with Todd Phillips on drums and the late Mikey Welsh on bass. So this is one, Juliana, if you ever find the masters, do the vinyl reissue of this on American Laundromat or wherever. And she's been doing her live streaming of an entire album once a month. She did this one a few months ago. I think of the 4 I've seen so far, the one for Bed was the best. Possible controversial choice at number 7, Juliana's Pony, Total System Failure from 2000. So in 2000, she released 2 albums on the same day. What actually didn't make my top 10, but is generally favored by the critics, and I think favored by a lot of the Juliana fan base, was the Beautiful Creature album, which was actually, I had it at number 11. So this is if you find the critics ratings, this particular album got the worst ratings of her career. It's the heaviest album of her career. So I think it was the last time she worked with Mikey Welsh. He did the bass. Then again, I forgot the name of the drummer. I think Zeph Courtney. I think the only time they ever worked together. But again, this was a pretty quickly recorded album. It's the loudest, heaviest album of her career. It has some dopey lyrics, to be honest, but it's kind of fun. Houseboy, Protege, leather pants. So basically, yeah, if you're going to go out with Juliana, you shouldn't wear leather pants. Noblesse Oblige almost sounds like something that could have been on Only Everything. So that's my number 7. Number 6, we'll get back into some stuff that I have on vinyl. So another album from 2019, Juliana Hatfield, Weird. So again, sort of the renaissance of her albums being very strong later in her career. Lost Ship on this album. I might argue Lost Ship is the best song she's ever written. It's totally my favorite. All Right, Yeah, Broken Doll. I think there were some videos on those. Staying In, It's So Weird. It's all about, hey, I'm a solo person, so am I, and deal with it. That's how I am. So, number 6, 2019. Number 5, we'll get back into the 1990s. I do have this one on vinyl. I have the original CD I bought way back when, but this is one of the Run Out Groove ones that was put out. So this is actually, there's 2 discs in here. There's one of them is blue and the other one is orange. And so 1995, so as was typical in that time frame, There were 14 songs, so if you pack that onto a single disc, that would be pretty tight. So what they did with this reissue was that it's there's two records here, and the first three sides are the original 14 songs, and then the fourth side is some B sides from the Universal Heartbeat CD single, and then an alternate version of a song as well. Um, so obviously, this album leads off really strong. What a Life, Fleur de Lis, Universal Heartbeat. Um, I found some of the songs in the middle. I mean, Bottles and Flowers is a great song, but some of the songs in the middle I found to be just okay. It's why this is only number 5 on my list, not a little bit higher. Album ends really strongly though. The penultimate song, Simplicity is Beautiful, sort of her shoegaze song, wonderful. And then You Blues is the final regular song. Um, so that's Only Everything from 1995. Number 4. If you told me a couple years ago, I would have been saying that a cover album of Olivia Newton-John songs would be one of my favorites. I would have said you were crazy, but it is. So, 2018, Juliana Hatfield sings Olivia Newton-John. So, sort of her lifetime love of Olivia Newton-John manifests itself in this entire album. And then she followed it up with the Police covers album. And I think her plan at this point is to kind of alternate between an originals album and a covers album. We don't know for sure what the next covers album will be yet. It might be REM, but we're not sure. Have You Never Been Mellow? A little bit more love. I've seen she tends to play physical live with kind of a wacky guitar solo at the end. I've seen different versions people have posted on YouTube. That's kind of fun. Please, Mr. Please. Liz Phair ended up doing that song live, and they've done that song live together a couple of times. And so then you've got Olivia and Juliana, sort of like with the Police album, you had the silhouette of Juliana, then the three dudes from the Police. Number 3, 2017, Juliana Hatfield, Pussycat. I've got it on the pink vinyl. Kind of matches that guitar she likes to use. This is basically the Juliana Hatfield got pissed off because of the 2016 election. So there's a lot of politically charged stuff on here. If you're a Trump supporter, you'll probably just want to pass on this album. So some of the things are critical of powerful men, Trump and other powerful men in particular. When You're a Star, Short-Fingered Man, Kellyanne, Rhinoceros. I mean, Rhinoceros is just, oh my lord. But there are some things that aren't politically charged either that are frankly going to be the songs you're going to want to listen to 10, 20 years down the road. Impossible Song, in particular, Wonder Why, Sunny Somewhere. Wonder Why is probably the best song on this album. And if you think, oh, it's already got ringware on it, I think that was actually an artistic choice. It looks like it has ringware when you have it brand new. So that's my number 3. Number 2, we're going to go all the way back, 1992. This is the debut solo album. It came out on Mammoth Records. This is the American Laundromat's reissue, which is on purple vinyl. American Laundromat's goes with the tasty colored vinyl. I mean, this is just a classic. I mean, I know she kind of didn't like it, but Everybody Loves Me But You, I See You, Nirvana, Forever Baby, Ugly. This is the first album I ever heard from her. So I have an older CD of it. Obviously, I got the vinyl relatively recently, but then I kind of went back and discovered Blake Babies, and then have basically followed her career ever since. So that brings me to the number one. And so I ended up going with the obvious choice for number one. Um, so this is not Martin Popoff's Contrarians. This is a non-contrary choice. I don't have the full album on vinyl. Juliana Hatfield 3, Become What You Are, from 1993. This is kind of what made her a semi-household name for at least those of us that watched shows like 120 Minutes back in the mid-1990s. So you've got My Sister, Spin the Bottle, a couple of her obviously most well-known songs, some other great songs on here as well. President Garfield, A Dame with a Rod, Supermodel. I've got No Idols. I'm enough of a dork. I have an alternate version of it on CD, and I don't have the album on vinyl. For some reason, they did reissue the Only Everything on vinyl a couple years ago, but originally it was on a 12-inch vinyl. I wasn't into vinyl then, so I never bought it. It's hard to get. I do have the 7-inch and the 12-inch of My Sister, featuring Todd Phillips and Dean Fisher on the front cover, and Juliana on the back cover. The 7-inch is on this sort of this silver gray vinyl, even though this is not a recent reissue. It came out back then. And then the 10-inch was, I believe this was released in England. And so the 10-inch, so it has My Sister, Put It Away on the front side, the demo version of A Dame with a Rod, and a song called Ruthless on the back side. So a couple of songs not found on the album. The 7-inch version, okay, it has A Dame with a Rod and Put It Away on one side, and My Sister on the other side. And so, again, just to kind of recap my top 10, Juliana Hatfield Sings the Police at number 10. There's Only Another Girl at number 9. Bed at number 8. Total System Failure at number 7. Weird at number 6. Only Everything number 5. Juliana Hatfield Sings Olivia Newton-John number 4. Pussycat number 3. Hey Babe number 2. Then the Juliana Hatfield 3. Become What You Are at number 1. You may notice that some of her more polished efforts that I know a lot of her fan base likes didn't make my top 10. Beautiful Creature just missed my list. It was my number 11. I know some people really like the In Exile Deo, and at least as of this recording, that's the one that she's going to be doing about a week from today, April 24th, her next live stream. How to Walk Away, I know some people really like that album as well. But they didn't make my top 10. Maybe they'll make your top 10. So I'll probably be back in a week or so. Maybe I'll do another ranking of another artist, or just find somebody to talk about from my collection. So thank you.